Here we go. It's game 2 of University of New Mexico Cherry versus Macalester Esports. We're in the middle of what is an intensely close series. You know, Macalester can bring it back certainly if they level up a decent bit between these two games. Unfortunately, game 1 was a bit of a blowout for UNM Cherry, but you know, there's always potential. First match of the day, it seemed like University of Toronto were on the back foot against the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, and then they brought it back in game 2. So Macalester hoping to pull off a similar upset of perhaps a slightly larger magnitude, as things kind of fell apart for them very early on, but anything can happen. Spafflez, what do you think is like the main idea here for Macalester going into game 2?
I don't know. I feel like, you know, heading into this next match, we've took a bit of a break, about 5 minutes. I feel like you really need to fix up some of those draft mistakes. I feel like, you know, you give yourself more avenues to succeed. You give yourself some of that insurance with a later game carry. And you sort of set yourselves up for success from the first step. And then afterwards, when it comes to actually executing in the game, things can, you know, still go sideways, but at least you're giving yourself the best opportunity here. Now, we see Macalester, they're banning out the Calico, obviously, in response to the events that were partaken in last round. I'm interested in seeing what UNM do to respond to that. Like, what do they want to deny from Macalester that maybe worked so well last time?
I think they just stick with what they did last time. I don't think there was really even much of a singular threat from Macalester. Like, you could think about doing the Warden, but I mean, even that wasn't much of a threat for UNM's Calico, so
Yep.
Don't hate what they've got going on here. Back, Macalester are sticking with the first pick Ivy that we saw University of Toronto do in match 1, but I agree with you. I think that a lot of the problems started in draft. We called out the Doorman and Page lane as being just like not really much of a threat, and UNM easily rolled over that one and steamrolled it all the way through. This time UNM are going to take advantage of the first ban going over to Calico. They're going to take the Celeste instead, who can really punish grouped up team fights if Macalester ever get coordinated enough to pull off something like that. And Billy as well. There's a 1-2 duo right there for UNM just right off the bat.
Yep, our first Billy of the night, if I remember correctly. It's going to be interesting. You know, pairing that up with the Celeste, it gives UNM a really, really strong early game core. And we'll have to see if they're able to really push that advantage. Macalester, they seem pretty content with, you know, stealing away some of UNM's picks with the Viscous next. I guess they didn't want to face the pressure. And again, they're taking away the Victor as well. Some of that late game insurance, some of that frontlining.
Alright, I know we said we need to fix things up in draft, but you can't just steal the other team's draft from game 1 and play it like it's your own. We're not copying homework here. That's academic dishonesty, and we are not about that at College Deadlock. So, Macalester, gonna need some original work here in the back half of things, but hey, I mean, for some of the same reasons why we said it could work out for UNM Cherry, it could work out for Macalester. Like, Victor, if they can survive to the late game and not be super behind, can carry things. Ivy is a good support, as we've seen all night. And then UNM Cherry are going to go for the Haze, who can work somewhat against the Ivy, but is going to struggle, I think, into Victor or Viscous.
Yeah, the Haze was not really a standout character in that last match. But then again, when you have your teammates popping off as hard as they were, it's really difficult for yourself as the humble Haze to find much farm to get ahead of yourself. When we look at the bans, though, right, we have UNM Cherry. They're sticking to what worked so well the first time. They're banning out that Lash. Macalester, again, target banning the 7. We don't want to deal with that, you know, hyper-scaling threat. Although there are still options that UNM can employ should they choose to.
Yeah, Wraith, Geist, Venator, Mirage, all still on the table for them. Even the Warden, just to take away from Macalester, to make sure that they're off of their #1 comfort carry, so yep. I mean, there's plenty of tools left in the bank here for UNM Cherry, which is really the downside of going for target bans like this. You might take away a little bit of comfort, but you're still leaving open the rest of the squad to choose whatever they want, and Macalester will run it back with the Mo, who, if they can get a bit of a better start than Mo Abrams' lane against 2 Spirit Pokers, might have a bit of a better time, because that really just fell apart for them early, and they weren't able to get effective combos off of it. We'll see if they can do better in Game 2.
Yeah, Macalester locking in the Page next. I feel like, again, their composition has really good bones, but they're not really constructed in the right way, where we're still yet to see a proper M1 carry. I mean, Victor does have potential, but he's also going to be... I would more so treat Victor as that fallback, as your second option. If you get to that late in the game, you're going to be able to take really good advantage of him. But for now, Macalester really lacking in terms of that consistent DPS.
I think that's fine to leave it to the last pick if you've got this many options left at this point in the draft, but you know, against some better teams who prio their M1 early might get punished. But for now, UNM going to pick up the Kelvin to just ensure that their team fight stays alive, and then the Mina as well, who I think can kind of fill the role of the Calico last game of just being a really big nuisance, being around the map with quick mobility and quick burst downs onto the Macalester members. This time, Macalester have a good bit more beef to their draft. Like, they picked up the Viscous. Ivy as well, if she's in the right spot, can get away. You know, Victor's certainly going to be difficult to take down if they can get off to any sort of solid start. Pocket, evasive in a very different way, and I think that this actually is a really good pick if it's played well, because UNM are certainly very grouped up in this draft, so a big Affliction could do a lot of work here for Macalester, but as you said, there's not really an M1 carry here at all.
Yeah, and again, also, there's going to be so much value for buying Spirit Resilience on UNM Cherry. I would be very surprised if they didn't spec into that pretty early on in this match, just because it really dulls a lot of the blades that Macalester has, and also just Kelvin can't cleanse the Pocket Ult. The Affliction will go through no matter what, but having that Ice Dome, providing your team with that security, is always going to be a nice thing. And like you said before, UNM, they're always going to be, you know, they're aiming to play very grouped on this comp. And, you know, once we get in, I'm sure that everyone on their team is very capable of doing damage. It's just a matter of who is able to pull ahead first and run with that lead.
Again, kind of comes down to laning phase, right? If Macalester can't do something early on, which, just looking through their comp, they don't have a lot of strong early game heroes. They're really never going to be in a position to let this Victor do his work, so... Going into game here, we'll have to see if Macalester can make something happen here. You know, they've got Pocket and the Ivy over here on this right side, going up against two really effective Spirit heroes, so kind of an unfortunate matchup for this Pocket. Any other lanes stand out to you?
I mean, for one, we've got the Haze Billy running into Victor Page. I think that Victor Page is a better pairing this time around. You know, you're providing yourself with a lot of extra sustain, making an immovable object even more immovable by adding a few extra pounds of cement around it. It's never really a terrible idea. When you look at the middle lane, you've got Kelvin Sorin, who is going to be pretty strong, facing off against a Mo and Crow and a Viscous. I feel like these lanes are a lot better matched for if neutrality is your goal, aside from the Pocket, of course.
Yeah, there's not really a strong point here for Macalester. Maybe that left side, as you were saying, up against the Haze, who's not particularly good at dealing with Victor early on. But this mid lane, I feel like, is just going to be so good for UNM, as you've stuck Mo again with someone who's not really that great a laner, and you've stuck him in the mid lane, which is probably the most important lane to be able to win early. So Tarbo here going to have to put in some work. However, things start off a little better this time for Macalester. They're able to take out DXRK very early on.
I'll keep them on their toes.
Yeah, that's a surprising kill, I'm going to be honest. I was not expecting that. But yeah, that's going to be DXRK again, right? Not historically their strongest early game player. I'm surprised, actually, the Haze went over to Kanamori, right? And again, the big eyes that you want to keep out for are going to probably be Pangolin and Win lead again, as we already see the Pocket getting dropped down extremely low. That negative Spirit resist coming in clutch, and it's going to be a kill right in front of their own tower.
Pocket normally known as the one to be slippery and get away, but Celeste with the air control, just way too difficult to run from. As yeah, Kanamori on this Haze is gonna be a change up for UNM Cherry. Maybe gonna play a little bit less of the active reload Fury Trance sort of Haze, and a bit more what the rest of the team needs in that assassin role. Maybe sync up with the Mina to do some effective combos.
Yep.
But early on, Macalester at least staying in things here with a couple of good kills. As you said, one lead going to be a real big threat on this Celeste, but the rest of the team so far fallen behind.
Yeah, and things are looking really good for Macalester, right? Both of their side lanes have managed to get themselves silver kills so far, and namely seeing the Victor being up ahead on the lane opponents is a distressing sign here on their end.
Well, we'll have to see if they can continue that on, because, I mean, we know that UNM can snowball a lead, so Macalester need to show us the same thing. Would love to see them going for boxes here in between these waves, right? That's one of the things they struggled with last time as well, is... Oh, as a parry comes out. That double parry even from one lead, who seems to be off to his old shenanigans. Gets double parried in return, but even still, I think they're going to be able to finish this one out. Yeah, nice kill just on 13 HP, man.
Wow, I really had to hold your breath there a little bit, having a pocket get 2 parries. Wow, but not quite able to. I'm sure they're really slamming their desk after that one. But you know, now that we've started to reset, we're at 4 minutes already, so 50 seconds until the bridge buffs spawn, and this is going to be our next big conflict point for these teams.
Yeah, and one thing for both of these teams that I think could improve is when you get this wave prio, UNM's getting a lot of wave prio, and Macalester aren't challenging it very much, but the main thing you want to be doing in these lanes is clearing the waves so that you have time to go get boxes, and each of these teams is doing one of those things and not the other. So, would love to see Macalester challenge that wave a little more. You know, don't be afraid to take fights early on, and UNM, when you've got that lane prio, go out and, you know, get your economy up. When you're just staring there at the tower hoping for a deny, there's not a whole lot you can do other than hope your opponent makes a mistake. Even though you are getting some of these punishes, it's risky doing that compared to just going out and getting boxes, because you can get parried exactly like that, Pangolin.
Yeah, really, really greedy play there from the Kelvin, but is ultimately able to run away. I didn't quite catch who got those bridge buffs, but it's going to be the Celeste coming in from behind. And get plenty of those bounces on the Viscus, who was stuck in the middle of his own wave, right next to his Guardian too. And yeah, there's just no escape from that.
One lead is at nearly 6,000 souls. Next highest up in the lobby is 4,000 at 5 minutes. This is scary.
Yeah. Now things are going well though for the pocket lane, at least, as he's able to chase around that Mina, although he is still really behind compared to that Celeste, like you said before. The closest difference is 6k to 4k. Now the Ivy is just forced to run away best they can, and not getting punished at all from these quick melees. And the pocket is more so of an afterthought as the Celeste just walks away.
And Carbo in some trouble here as well. This is the last stand in the Kelvin Dome. It's exactly what we kind of feared for this mid lane of Macalester, is you just don't really have the tools to fight back against the strong duo there. And so trouble on every side for UNM Cherry. As you said, the pocket team going to be able to at least get some sort of pressure here in mid, but unfortunately that's where one lead has come over to, and that's significantly more than you're able to deal with at this point.
Yeah, at least this is, when you're looking at the state of the game currently, it's more so one lead is the one problem rather than your team as a whole more so being behind. So it is a lot more manageable to deal with. You can only be in one place on the map at one time. I'm interested in seeing how they're going to be able to play around that on, for example, the other sides of the map. Now, the Victor does get dropped down at really low HP. The bullet dance from Haze is able to get the ult out, but now they're going to have a lot of struggle securing that final kill.
Yeah, as you said, there's only one lead on the map, at least for now, until he can learn to duplicate himself. And the rest of UNM Cherry are going to have to start coming in here as well. Other than the Celeste, things are about even between these two teams. Pretty much the entirety of the lead from UNM Cherry is on that one hero, and so the rest of Macalester trying to step up, trying to make things competitive, but with Victor going down and Aranim in a sticky situation as well, and Paradox Lover going down, like, UNM are starting to catch up on the rest of their squad as well.
Yeah, the bouncing from the Celeste ult is very obnoxious to deal with, especially when you don't have any stamina to get away from your own wave. You're just sort of forced to take it on top of the a slow that she has inherently in her kit. Very, very brutal. 8 minutes has arrived, so all the Cinders are now up on the map, and you know, Macalester, they're definitely going to try and do their best to secure these before, you know, the roaming Celeste comes to your lane.
Just a quick soul check. The one lead is more than double the second highest net worth in the lobby. It's got picked up the stamina mastery already. Nobody else is quite up to tier 3s. Also got the torment pulse. So just a quiet little build forming up there. He's about to the mid game point. Everyone else is still hanging out here in lane and taking those doubles. So there's a very clear game plan here for Unum Cherry, and that's just give one lead the ball, give LeBron the ball.
You know, I didn't remember LeBron being a unicorn, but I bet basketball would be a lot more interesting if he was.
There's a bunch of little girls who think he is, I'm sure.
But yeah, there's that brutal combo there, like you mentioned earlier, is just the Kelvin with the stamina freeze instead of the slow. You're just gonna struggle so hard into that Warden lane as they're able to convert another kill.
And once again, the smoke kind of getting abused in lane is going to mean that one of the most effective comeback tools for Macalester, which is being able to get a pick, is just not there in the cards. As that mid Guardian falls, and you're starting to face more and more pressure on the map. Not just from the Celeste lane, which is actually the last one with both Guardians standing, just because one lead has been elsewhere on the map, letting BXRK take it solo for most of this time.
Yeah, it makes plenty of sense to be doing that. You've got, you know, notoriously slippery characters. You don't want to waste too much time running around and trying to chase after them. Instead, you're going to push your lead elsewhere. So we already see Celeste is on her way for a roam again. Going to head over to get the Vitality buff, actually, and it's going to be Unum also securing the casting buff on the other side of the map.
Yep, solid map presence from them, as you might expect from having this Guardian advantage. So UNM kind of off to the races again. They're gonna try and snowball this lead, and it's up to Macalester to learn from last game about how to come back when you're behind. You know, this is valuable practice for these teams about playing from behind. And combo comes in here, but it's immediately interrupted by the Haze Sleep. They've got a 3-on-2. This is a fight you need to win, and they will be able to take down Axolotl. So, Macalester at least got some teeth in them.
Yep, Unum just overextending a little bit, to be honest. You're 10 minutes in, the Walker has a ton of resists, and you have a page sitting underneath it, so it has even more thanks to the defender advantage. You're never going to get that. And, you know, being able to collapse on it like Macalester did, they invested the page ult, they invested the combo over from Owen Krill. I would be shocked if the Billy was able to survive that.
Yeah, there was some help there from the Haze, but Kanamori recognized that it was kind of just a lost cause and went back off to get whistles they could elsewhere on the map. Once again, I'd like to see Macalester pushing up this left side, you know, being a little coordinated to grab the urn, get at least some souls going in, but right now all they're doing is giving up their doubles to this Celeste. Owen Krill's hanging around, but there's nobody nearby to deal the damage once they've got the combo, and the combo isn't even online, so Macalester just kind of have to sit and watch this monster continue to eat away at what they've got in their pen.
Yeah, just, you know, popping your way through the sunroof, saying hello, how are you doing, could I get you anything, and running on back.
More souls, please.
Yep. Yeah, we see there the Victor just getting bullied a little bit. The Affliction, though, coming through, catches the Mina. He's going to be taking a lot of damage. Nice suitcase hit in midair, and this Pocket's got hands. Be able to take down Dark.
Just to die now.
This Mina, despite being given the solo wave, has not really pulled ahead just yet. Has managed to stay as a decent anchor point there. Like they've at least not fallen off too hard against what Macalester are sending in that lane. So letting one lead just roam out and do his thing while keeping the lane somewhat in control. It's about the best you can do there if you're Mina.
A good cube there used to deny the bullet dance, and the Billy is dead again. The ice shelter comes through from Kelvin, but now he's trapped in there with them, and was forced to relieve it early. Macalester, they're continuing to push this advantage here. They've been able to win this fight. Are they going to be able to convert it into one of the Guardians, though? It looks like they're turning their sights towards the instead.
Yes, alright. Lose Miele here, but that's okay. You at least grab the urn when it's favorable for you like this. So that will be something you can come back with. Hopefully you don't trade it for a walker here, as one lead is up to nearly 20k, looking to take a 13-minute walker.
Yep.
But even if you do, you've got something going for you.
Yep, the walker does get taken down, and it's going to be the Celeste ult to follow it up. He was able to save the Viscus themselves, but was still serving as a bounce target. Because now the Viscus is on the run. I didn't quite catch what happened in there, although given the soul gap currently, I'm going to assume Macalester was able to secure it.
Yeah, 3k earn in exchange for a walker, and what was that, 3 kills? Alright,
Yeah.
it's still probably good for UNM Cherry, but it at least tells me that Macalester are aware of the urn. If they know it exists, hopefully they'll get a couple more of them.
Yeah, they've got quite a lot on their hands, especially with the way that Celeste is going. They might be able to catch out this Mina, unfortunately. Her bats don't take her too far, and now she is forced to be subjected to that combo.
Get the Mo and Krill stacks, that is something that scales throughout the game. Yeah, Get enough of those, you might even be able to stand up to the Celeste. So, take a look at the rest of the UNM Cherry. One lead has been the star of the show so far, but Grandsneck getting a little bit ahead on this Warden at least. Able to take some of the jungle, which from all the space that UNM have been able to create. Get the Headhunter online for that bit of extra move speed and damage. Meanwhile, taking a look at Macalester, you've got Basil once again, the sole leader of the team, this time on the Victor instead of the Warden. Previously was a target for a lot of dives from UNM Cherry just because that was like the one way for Macalester to come back into this. But this time on the Victor, a little bit harder to take advantage of. And so hopefully we'll be able to provide some resistance here. Paradox Lover as well on the pocket. Been doing some solid work so far as keeping the Mina in check and putting in some work in some of these other small skirmishes. Now, Miele, previously the famed gun doorman, is looking to at least stay alive here against this Billy. Not a whole lot of pressure coming in onto these left and middle guardians just yet.
Yep. Now, the urn did respawn, so it's another fresh chance for UNM or Macalester to stake their claim to it. While the Celeste is trying to make her move on one of the last walkers remaining, right? Going down that mid lane. It does look like they're going to be able to force her back, at least momentarily, as she decides, oh no, which tier 1 item am I going to sell for a brand new tier 3?
Well, as you said, that's the spirit resilience picked up.
Yeah.
Like, Macalester do have pretty much all spirit damage. I'd like to take a look at Miele at some point and see if they're running the Gun Ivy just from knowing what they were trying to do last game and Gun Ivy being somewhat viable. Yeah, you got the Toxic Bullets, this Titanic Mag going on. At least a hybrid build, if not full gun. So that is going to at least mean something that one lead isn't building resistances against, but all the rest of the team are countered by that item. So great pickup here from one lead, great pickup onto a kill, great pickup onto another one. Alright, we've seen this one before.
Yeah, no, I also hate to break it to you, but the thing about Gun Ivy is, like you said, she's hybrid. She, Toxic Bullets does spirit damage, we got Caster does spirit damage. So it is still going to be extremely valuable for her. To be quite frank, don't know if anything is able to kill her at this point.
Well, certainly nobody in this fight just sits there and tanks the shocking reanimation from Victor. I don't even really care about this walker stun. I'm just going to walk forward, continue to take advantage of your low health pools compared to my 28k net worth. That is still, oh no, almost double anyone from Macalester. Paradox Lover and Basil are a little bit ahead of half of one lead's net worth. And so this left walker may fall, but at least they will stay above that critical threshold.
Yep. Now, the urn has been dreading for attention. It hasn't really been found out quite yet. Paradox Lover gets caught going for one of their camps, I presume. As, yeah, now we're sitting here at 17 minutes. We're starting to get to that point. It was a 20-minute mid-boss last time. Perhaps UNM are going to be able to make that happen again and continue to accelerate this game forward.
Would be good to see. You've got a lot of members hanging out here around the mid-boss area. Could even potentially have this Mina pick up the urn, take it to mid, and you know, just say, come and fight us, because we've got all of our ultimates minus the bullet dance, and you've got an Ivy ult. So yeah, they are going to come in here. I love this play. Even though you don't have a pick, you've got more than enough net worth and more than enough ults to be able to take this.
Yep. Those are the sorts of plays that you don't really see on the lower Duelos too often. Is you know that you're ahead. You know that you're sitting comfortably in the driver's seat. We don't need a fight win per se to get this reju. We're just going to go for it straight up.
And there you go. UNM with the rejus means they can attack even more fearlessly. We'll say it's less of a soul lead this time than they had previously. It's only about 25,000. Most, or really all of that being on one lead. And so they are very dependent on this Celeste to be good in this game. If she's not there, then maybe Macalester can pull something off, but Celeste does have great maneuverability to make up for that. And now Macalester have got the urn. They're kind of spread out, though, and they're about to get picked off.
Yeah, Tarbo's days might be numbered because the entirety of UNM is swarming around his current position. It does look like some of their attention is at least a little diverted by the Walker. Is going to be a nice reju proc there coming out first. Now the Mina is getting hit by the combo. Not too much health growth from the character. It means going to be squishy no matter what happens. Though it does look like the Walker does fall short. The after phase ult does cut through some of the noise, but then the Celeste ult is bouncing through the rest of the team. Gets a kill on their own, gets the second one off the Ivy, and it's going to be an assist onto the Viscous. And now they're charging pretty valiantly towards the base Guardians. Nice work!
I just need a wave to come in, and they grab the Soul Urn as well. Reminder, that is only the second Soul Urn of the game. 3,500. Feels like it should be worth a lot more considering the kinds of plays that we're seeing from UNM Cherry, but no. We are still at a relatively early point in the game, and that's why we see Basil able to charge in here onto a Walker and still not even really able to put much pressure on it with this Billy defending. So, UNM Cherry making great strides for the stage of the game that we're at. And it seems like there's not a whole lot Macalester can do to challenge them. They managed to pick off the Mina, and it's not doing a whole lot, as Mina was already the lowest soul player for UNM, not putting in a lot of work in these fights.
Yeah, unfortunate for Dark, but they do get stuck with the short end of the stick 2 games in a row, it feels like. Though it does, help pave the road for the rest of their team, right? You're able to get those base Guardians down super early on 2 lanes. And now you're retreating, right? You have a full map's worth of jungle to get, and there's that soul lead like that you were saying, right? We weren't at one that was close before, but we're at 40k now, and it's just going to continue to snowball here until eventually they're going to be able to close this game out.
Yeah, I feel like they could grab the urn and be pretty safe about it. Just use those mechanics like University of Toronto were showing you last match rather, about how to snowball a lead, and yeah, that's going to be exactly it. Kanamori coming here to grab the urn, and that's really about the only thing you can do left on the map aside from these Sinner sacrifices in order to try and get something out of Macalester. You really just need one more good fight win to drop the Patron, maybe one after that to get the last stage, and this game should be pretty well wrapped up.
Yep. Now, the rest of the team is posturing around this urn deposit point. We do see that Basil is, doing their best to farm up on their own half of the map. Got a decent amount of souls to their name, but it's definitely nothing to write home about. As there you have it. There's the 3rd urn deposited in a row for UNM Cherry. And now they're looking to see, can we convert any more kills with this 30 seconds of reju left? Or are we going to be stuck waiting on the 3-minute timer for the next one?
It looks like R&M has been caught out over here. The Haze Sleep Dagger doing exactly what it needs to do on this squad, and 40 seconds now to continue to chain those kills together if you're UNM Cherry. You have lost a Guardian though. That's real pressure coming in from Macalester.
Yeah, we do see Victor's making his way towards his Infinity Stones. He has the Infinity completed. He has the Rapid Recharge. Should have its own shot. And, shortly after, I don't quite recall what exactly Victor builds, but I have a friend that plays him all the time. He says it's the 3 Infinity Stones. And maybe then they'll be able to...
Did we see the Infuser yet? Usually he's kind of a big pickup once he gets there, but that may not end up being the case. As, I mean, one lead and Grandsnack are pretty low here, and they do actually get a walker for all of this. Billy not in the fight. All right, there you go. There's the minutes down, and Macalester looking to take a fight win.
All right, the first one so far closes up a considerable amount of the soul lead already. Presumably a bag or two, but also just comeback golds or comeback souls are that impactful. You see the Billy though going in, trying to not leave too much left on the table, but is forced out pretty early, as well as the Haze not quite getting as much damage as they would have hoped with the bullet dance. And wow, Macalester, they were able to win that fight pretty decisively. Nothing for 4.
Let's push Broadway. Of course.
Yeah, now going to be able to push in, take at least one more Guardian, get the last one of those off the field. I would love to see them go for some center sacrifices here. I don't think you're going to be able to push this Walker very well into a Kelvin, who just had to stall about 20 seconds until the carries come back. But Macalester, I think, recognized that, and now they're going to pull back. And love to see them go for doubles here, but maybe even that's too aggressive for them at this point.
Yeah, it seems like rather they're opting into farming out on their own side of the map. We do see the Victor starting to push up a wave pretty aggressively, so perhaps UNM might choose to rotate over and shut him down before he's able to get too much from it.
Yeah. Basil on 27,000 is able to match a lot of these UNM players.
Yep.
As well, we see Paradox Lover on 26k here, who has been putting in work, and now with the Arctic Blast has extra tools to be able to put in damage in these team fights. Maxed Affliction means no heals available for Pangolin or the rest of the squad from UNM Cherry if they can land that one. So there is a sliver of light at the end of the tunnel. It's just Macalester's got to hope that it's not the oncoming train of Warden late game.
There is a lot of potential here on the map to fight for. There, with the soul lead being the closest it has been all series, this is your chance, right? Macalester, you've got the opportunity to fight over this round. You've got the opportunity to fight over potentially the mid boss. We've just got to see what these teams decide to ride or die by. It looks like the mid boss.
And as well, force it. Same as before, you've got all 6 ultimates available. Macalester this time do also have all 6 ults available, so Paradox Lover can hit something here. It could be pretty big, but it seems like Macalester aren't even aware that the mid-boss is happening just yet, and it's a bait! You're gonna come out and try and fight this.
Yeah, the pocket drops down there. Uses the artifacts by accident, I suppose. I thought he saw somebody. But now the Celeste is engaging takes her down without much problem. And UNM, they're taking advantage of this bait, and they're going in and winning this fight. The Affliction does come through with pressure from the pocket to get a second Affliction, but Basil is taking down Tarbo as well. And I don't think Pocket's going to get the chance to use it.
There's an attempt at the counterspell there onto the Affliction. Wasn't quite in time, but it was a good thought there from one lead to try and get that one in. All they need now is a wave to be able to take down this first phase patron of the Hidden King. That'll be Pangolin going back to clean that up, and this should be a rather easy run-in for UNM Cherry. Curious to see if they'll send someone back for that mid-boss to try and get those crystals while they're taking base. Looks like maybe Billy's on that one.
Yep. Now, Shrine was easy work. We got the Patron itself, phase 1 going down. And, Billy is struggling a little bit against this mid-boss. I mean, mid does have
eventually.
Chance, especially when you try to solo it. I mean, Valve did a pretty good job of making sure that's not an easy task.
Alright. It will be the mid-boss down, though, and UNM trying to decide if they should stay or go. Looks like they might be setting up an ambush here. Yes, excellent positioning. Haze Dagger would be an excellent way to start off this second phase take.
Chilling in the news booth, waiting for somebody to walk a little bit too far. Although, if we're being honest here, they could probably just walk in and end the game right now. It's oh, they got found out by the minions.
Yeah. Hey, breaking news, you're dead.
Yeah, it does look to be a collapse here on the
Speediest
Mono
newspaper story I've ever seen.
and the Victor. I don't think there's much escape for you, buddy. You are able to use the burrow to make at least a little bit of distance, make a lap around the corner, but this is going to be shut down, and now UNM, they set their sights on the patron.
Got 3 rejuves, 1 pick already, onto one of the only ways to lock down a member from this UNM squad.
Yep.
Paradox does have, Paradox Lover rather, on the pocket does have the affliction, but it might just be the end of the game here as Kanamori cleans up on all the damage that Wanlead has been putting out, and
Nice fight.
same tune as the first game, but just a little bit different path to victory here. UNM Cherry, pretty dominant 2-0 in this match.
All right, I mean, we did see some pretty major improvement. You know, Macalester, they copied UNM's homework. They wrote down the draft. They changed it a little bit, to be fair, and it did give them some pretty good results. I feel like they really held their own during the early game. I mean, Celeste was the only person who realistically ran away with the lead, but that Celeste from one lead was really, really good. And seeing them being able to convert that lead into just a bigger team-wide lead, and even though there was just a really close moment there where they're able to close that soul lead a lot, UNM just proved that, yep, we got here on purpose, and we're able to, you know, build up that lead a second time if we have to really close out that game.
Well, to I'm sure everybody's shocked who was watching that game, Wanlead ends up with a pretty nice MVP for himself off of this game. Fantastic Calico performance in Game 1, and then the Celeste this game was really the driving force behind UNM squad here in Game 2, so brilliant performance from him in this series. I'm excited to see if they can make this go any further as we get on towards playoffs time. I believe this puts UNM at 5-3 on the season, as we are counting these games individually, whereas unfortunately UNM Cherry will fall to 2-6 headed into round 5. So I believe that puts them out of playoffs contention. I'm sure that someone behind the scenes can confirm that. But I mean, it seems like if they can rely on their carries here, UNM have got a pretty decent shot in this division.
Yeah, it sets themselves up pretty nicely, and you know, I don't think you caught it because I think you would have commented on it, but the Mina did 3k damage that round.
Oh. Yeah.
I mean, okay, to be fair, they were getting targeted quite a lot. They were on the receiving end of some combos and all that, but wow.
I will point out, though, that's not the bottom in the lobby. Paige, RNM 2.8k player damage. That was on the losing side, however, and similar to the Mina, RNM was getting targeted quite a lot by the damage of UNM Cherry, so a little understandable there.
Yeah.
For both sides, really. But yeah, there's definitely some highs and some lows in this lobby.
Mm-hmm. All right, I mean, I don't really have too much further to dissect on that series. I mean, UNM, congratulations to you. And to everyone who participated today. It was great watching everybody play. And I'm really looking forward to the next round of series, right? We have one happening tomorrow night. And then obviously next week we'll be back again. You know, make sure to check out our socials, you know, Collegiate Deadlock, everywhere you can find it. And yeah, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you to production for the smooth runtime. And we'll be seeing you all again very, very soon. Have a good night, everyone.